record this too. Yay, I think we have all the technology organized, and I was so grateful that Dondi and Marcy reached out to see if I might be able to give them the space to attend to their needs tonight. So they are doing Tony Robbins training this weekend, and I cannot wait to hear all of the insights they've been having. You know, as a leader, it's really important to pour into yourself. And so this evening, I am going to be stepping in. So even though it says Dondi and Marcy Nettles underneath my name today, my name is not Dondi and Marcy Nettles. My name is Kim Jacques. I'm coming to you live from Wilmington, North Carolina. And tonight I'm going to be sharing with you some of the basic 101 insights around leveraging the power of social media like a pro. Now, we are not going to be going into all kinds of nuts and bolts. We're going to be taking a peek at stepping back and just looking at the why of social media and a little bit of the how, but not a tremendous amount. I'll tell you a little bit about my story with social media. I remember starting one of my business. Actually, I remember starting my very first business back in 1999. So this is dating me. And I was building a private practice for my massage therapy practice. And I remember making flyers, driving them to natural food stores, getting to know the people at the local yoga centers, creating collaborations. And I remember that all very fondly. It was such a perfect fit because it helped me to create and expand awareness around my business through developing a community of people that we all liked each other. We all got each other's vibe. We got to bump into one another on the street sometimes, perhaps maybe bumping into each other at a coffee shop and taking the time. It was nurturing relationships on a person-to-person level that was very nourishing. I enjoyed it thoroughly. I would never have changed a thing. But it was a local business. It was a business that statistically, it was known that people would travel most 18 miles to go see a massage therapist. And that was if they felt like they were extraordinary. Most of the time, people kind of stuck to a radius of driving. And so it made a lot of sense for me to build my business locally, hopping in my car, developing the relationships by doing that. And like I said, I really enjoyed it. But are we building a business that only has an 18 square mile radius with LifeVantage? No. So let me tell you how I started LifeVantage. Very similarly, connecting to people that I know, friends and family, colleagues, and really kind of sitting face to face with the opportunity to be able to share information in a presentation and really developing those relationships is very, very similar. And what I discovered is that before too long, there were people in my team who were stumbling upon prospecting the same person, who were actually like having conversations around, well, did I talk to them first? Did you talk to them first? It was a pond that was only a certain size, and a lot of my network was networked together. And so there was very quickly, not a shortage, because there were tons of people left to communicate with in that town, but there was a sense of rubbing elbows a little bit too closely. So then it expanded, right? My business grew to different states. I was driving to those different states and doing presentations in New York and Pennsylvania, you know. And I remember actually, because I am one of those people that if I say I'm going to do something, I do it. I remember there was a moment where I had a minor surgery, but after that minor surgery, it probably would have been a really good idea for me to like stay low and not be driving between Maine and Pennsylvania, which was about an 8.5 to 9 hour drive right after the surgery. My gut said it wasn't a good idea, but I had said I was going to go. I did. I drove down there and I was developing some significant pain on the way down. I stayed overnight. I did some trainings. We onboarded a couple of people. I drove home. The pain got worse and worse and worse. And come to find out, I had developed a significant blood clot because of all the sitting right after having had surgery. So why I'm telling you this is because that was the moment that I really realized there were other clues before that, but that's the moment that I really realized that I wanted to build this business differently. You know, there are different camps of thought. And actually, I truly believe that they're all speaking the same language. They just don't necessarily always understand that how they're building is very similar. But I believe that building on social media is pretty similar in many ways, except you have to be a little tech savvy. You have to know what button to push and when to push it. But if done well, you are building on social media very similarly to how I built my very first business, by developing relationships, by going out there, getting to meet new people, you know, dropping off a flyer. Well, you're not dropping off a flyer. Maybe you're inviting them to an event online. Maybe you're inviting them to a Facebook group, right? So there are some differences, but there's so many similarities. And I really just want to be the spokesperson through this presentation and letting you know that social media and building offline have more similarities than you might suspect. So let's take a peek at just a couple of the key foundational things that are really important to do as you are building your business online through social media. So first, it's really important to understand your why. Why are you building online? Now, for me, I was building online for a couple of reasons, right? I was realizing that my team was really bumping elbows. I also was realizing that the stress that traveling on the road for me was too much for my body, and that driving 8 hours to go to a meeting was way more time consuming than being able to step on a Zoom meeting and be able to interact probably with about the same amount of people, right? And so that's really why I decided to do it. It is an important method of understanding how you can meet new, amazing people. You see a picture of a pond here. Well, that little pond might represent my little town, or maybe the little towns that were around individuals who ended up popping up in my organization. But it is really important to be able to stock your pond. Stock your pond with the right kind of fish. If you go out fishing and you go to a small pond, most fishermen know the kind of fish that are typically caught in that pond, right? They know that there's little tiny fish, and I won't even act as if I know what the names of fish. You know, Chris Melhoit, if you're on here, you know, you're the fisherman. I'm not the fisherman. But typically what happens is, you know, fishermen know what kind of fish they're going to be catching in a pond. And many times they'll go to ponds where the fish are stocked, okay? Where they know if they go to that pond, there's a lot of really good trout. So if they're going to spend time fishing and they know they want to catch something of value, then they're going to go to the stocked pond. Your social media friends list, if you will, the people that you are connected with, your friends, your followers, your fans, whatever it is that you're doing, whatever platform you're on, they are the fish in your pond. Your reach goes out basically, for the most part, to the people that you are officially connected with. And so anytime you're building on social media, it's a good idea to know that your why behind building on social media is to continually meet new amazing people every single time. If you set a goal for yourself of stocking your pond with the right kind of fish, 1 to 5 new fish every time you sit down to social media, you are going to be head over tails ahead of the majority of the people who are working online. To be honest, most people who are working online, it looks like this: scroll, 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 right? There's a lot of time that is spent working online that is not necessarily working. So if you had a little checklist for yourself and you were to say, when I am working online, part of my to-do every single time is to stock my pond. Now, how do you stock your pond? Well, you are going to find, add, message people. You're going to find people. How do you find them? There's lots of ways of finding. You could just connect to friends of friends. You could go to the people who are recommended to you. You could go into Facebook groups and look at posts that you feel are really insightful. You could follow influencers and see who follows the same influencers and what kind of so it's the same way you would get to know people in the real world. It's by aligning, putting yourself in the right room and starting conversations to see who you resonate with. It's the same exact thing in social media, except for it's going to a Facebook group and seeing who you resonate with. It's following an influencer and seeing who you resonate with. It's just all the same thing. Now, what Find Add Message is, FAM, is just that you are going to find that person. You are going to add them, whether that's friend requesting or following, or I don't know what it is on TikTok. I can't remember what it's called on LinkedIn, all the things, but you're finding them, you're adding them. So you're requesting to connect, and then you're messaging them. And you're messaging them like somebody who wants to be a friend. You're not doing a pop-up ad. Hey, check out my business. Nobody likes a pop-up ad, but you are simply saying, hey, I saw that post that you made in the group, the knitting group. I don't know, I don't knit, but I saw that post that you made on the knitting group about that stitch you did on the purple mitten. I thought it was really cool. I'd love to connect. It seems like you have a lot of talent. That's it. So I saw this. I thought it would be fun to connect. And then always ask a question at the end of every message. Something as simple like, how are things? How long have you been knitting? Where are you located? Do you sell your knitting wares? Something that just shows that you actually have interest in the person, because in an ideal world, you're only finding and adding people that you actually have interest in. Okay, so I hope what you're seeing in this first slide is that the value of being able to meet every single time you sit down to do work, meet 1 to 5 new people, helps you stock your pool if you're doing it mindfully and thoughtfully and using the Find Add Message scenario. Now, after you do Find Add Message, you're gonna have a lot of people that never reply. That's normal. Don't beat yourself up. Okay? It's normal. This is a funnel. Okay, you're going to find cool people. You're going to message them. Only some of them are going to reply back. And then those people who reply back are cool people. Okay, and so you're going to have a conversation with them, get to know them a little bit. You know, there's different acronyms. You can lord them, you can word them. Basically, you know, learning about their occupation, their recreation, where they live, just getting to know them a little bit, right? And that is part of this dance in social media, just like it is part of this dance in regular life, okay? So then your job in social media, you're stocking your pool, then you need to bring value to your pool, okay? And it's value that's uniquely yours to give. So as an example, if you are somebody who loves to knit and hey, you could talk about knitting all day long. And in fact, if you could travel with other knitters and go on trips with other knitters, like they are your tribe, you love those kinds of people, Maybe those people also might be interested in either becoming a customer, becoming a business partner, or loving you so much that they would love to hear all about it so they can generate referrals, right? You want to bring value that's uniquely yours to give. You're inspiring, you're entertaining, you're educating. The best way that I know how to do that is to actually sit down and do some post planning. Now, that means that you're looking at the week and you're saying to yourself, who do I want to talk to in my social media space this week? I typically like to talk to people who are busy women who need help prioritizing their health so that so they can have confidence and do it in an easy way, right? So that's who I like to talk to. I want to educate, inspire, and entertain those people. So I'm going to sit down and say, if I'm talking to those people, what do I want them to feel, know, or do this week? And then that helps to inform me sitting there, writing a Word document, right? On Monday, this is what I want to educate them on. And here's the image I want to do. On Tuesday, here's the post I want to make. Here's a fun little, inspirational meme that I want to share. I want them to feel inspired and empowered this week. So it's sitting down and doing the planning for it so that you can see that the chapter of your social media story has paragraphs in it, and you're creating mindfully those paragraphs so that you can bring value, which means that you're increasing your influence with people in your world. When you increase your influence, when they say to themselves, boy, this person really, they inspire me, they educate me, they entertain me, that brings value to them. And you know what that does? When you increase your influence, it allows for when you slip into their private message and say, hey, was just thinking about you, was wondering if you would be willing to take a peek at a project that I'm working on. They're going to be more apt to say yes because you have more influence with them. If you have people in your world that you've already had conversations with, your posts throughout the course of the week are your natural multitasking follow-up process, okay? So this is what happens when you're post planning, when you're creating mindful engagement, you're warming up your audience for those private message conversations, and you're multitasking the follow-up with mindful messaging. With all the fish in the pond, you make one post, and of course the algorithm has a lot of effect on it, but as many fish as possible are being touched by that post, and that's valuable when you are doing it through social media like that. Now, nobody likes a pop-up ad. Oh my goodness gracious me. The last time you watched a YouTube video, did your finger hover over the advertisement like mine did for like the 4 seconds necessary to tolerate the pop-up ad, and then you click and go, right? Nobody likes a pop-up ad. So popping up into your profile with your bag of Axio saying, hey, here's my favorite drink, that doesn't really work, okay? Now, that does work in stories, all right? So very important to know that when you are creating stories, you're creating a series of images or videos. Like there's so many fun creative things you can do in stories. I personally love stories because I am a big fan of filters. Absolutely love filters. It's like Halloween for me. I actually don't like Halloween because I don't like the effort of finding a costume and getting dressed up. But with the click of a filter button, suddenly it's like a costume for me. I love it. So inside stories, here's the power of stories. You can create 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 10 slides, one right after the other, that's kind of building up and telling the story of this product benefit, right? And then you can put a little thing that says, message me if you want some information. Whether they message you or not is actually irrelevant. What you're going to be able to see is who stays on for each one of those stories. Those are the people who, like, maybe there's 50 people who hop on for the first image, and then 30 people for the second, and 20 for the third, and 10 for the fourth, and there's only 5 for the very last one. Those 5 people hung on to the bitter end of the stories. They had choice around that, right? So it's good to know that inside stories, that is a space where you can actually see if you're gonna private message 5 people today about saying hi, catching up, or being bold and saying, hey, you know, I see that you've been watching my stories about X, Y, and Z product. Would you like to know a little bit more about it? That is super powerful, guys. So that's the power of stories, being able to see specifically who is watching. So remember, you're expanding your database, you're expanding your influence, and you're multitasking your follow-up. Business happens inside the private message, though, with personal conversations, okay? So whether you see somebody's lurking your stories and you hop in and private message them, or whether you just have somebody that's been interacting with your posts an awful lot and you realize, gosh, I think I have influence with this person. I think I would like to ask them, you know, invite them to a personal chat, a one-on-one sit down on Zoom to catch up and learn a little bit more about what we do. It might be that you just boldly say, hey, you know, you may or may not know this, but I've been working on a project for a while now, and I would love to get it across, you know, your desk. Would you be willing to take some time so I could educate you on what I'm doing? It may or may not be a good fit for you, but I think that you're the kind of person that might know someone. And gosh, if you would be wanting to do this, I would love it, because we could do it together. So whatever it might be, like, you're able to see who you have influence with, but you do the business in private message. You can use private message with a voice feature, with a video feature, with a message feature, whatever is your jam. But that is where business conversations are happening. Now, this was just a really quick overview of kind of the why and a little bit of the how on social media, but you all have access to the LifeVantage app. And there's some really beautiful trainings I want to tell you about that are inside the LifeVantage app on social media. And here's how you access it. By the way, Lemonade Axio being discontinued September 29th. I am going to enjoy this one and savor it and order about 8 more bags before the evening. So just remember, September 29th, it is being discontinued. So I'm going to take a sip. All right. And yes, it's nighttime and I'm drinking a caffeinated Axio. Caffeine doesn't actually affect me in that way. I can sleep right after caffeine. Side note, I digress. Okay, you're inside the app. You're going to click on library. Okay. When you click on library, at the top, there's all kinds of things you can choose from. You can slide a little menu back and forth. When you slide the menu to training, there's all kinds of trainings in there, guys. You can see, you know, old Success Masteries, Flip the Switch, even Master Tracks. Gosh, Master Tracks were back in the day when we were actually sent CDs. There's some really good wisdom in there. There's basically enough information inside the app that you could listen to something brand new for the next 2 years, probably. Okay, so awesome, awesome tool. But I do want you to know that there's a search feature, right? There's a little magnifying glass at the top there. And when you click it, I would like you to click the words social media. When you do that, you are going to see some trainings by Marilee Maricich and by Jenny Crane. These are really great social media trainings. They talk about discovering who your avatar is, right? Because it's really important that you understand who you're talking to, how you want them to feel, what you want them to know, and what you want them to do. That informs your messaging. So remember, I said that my avatar is a super busy woman who wants to prioritize her health, but she wants to do it with confidence and with ease. Okay, so that's my person. I love that person. So I speak to that person. So I might say things like, I totally get it. Sometimes it's hard to fit self-care into the course of a busy week. That might be messaging that I use in social media because I've chosen that as my avatar. I'm not going to be saying, hey, dude, right? I'm not going to be saying, gosh, did you see the golf game last week? I'm not going to be saying those things because that's not who I'm talking to. I also will stock my pond with people who seem like really busy ladies who are looking to prioritize their health. That informs what Facebook groups I go into, right? That informs what Instagram accounts I might connect with. It informs what I put in my bio. Okay, so it's important to know, and Marilee Maricich does a really, really good job on talking about developing the avatar for yourself. So I highly recommend you're checking that out. And Jenny Crane does a really great job in her programs as well. So this was just a basic overview. So many times I'll hear people say, I want to build social media. How do I do it? It's easier than you might think. Other times I hear people saying, I've been trying to build on social media, but it's not working. And I typically will ask those people, so who are you speaking to? Well, I don't know. Well, let me look at your profile. Oh, I see a political post. Yikes. Unless that's who you're talking to, right? And if you're talking to that person, it best be in alignment with attracting that kind of person versus propelling the opponent. Okay, so just be aware of what you're doing. It might be a political post, it might be a picture of the dog, right? With no clarity around who you're talking to, how you want them to feel, what value you want to bring. So it is incredibly worthwhile taking some time to just sit down, listen to these social media trainings, and journal for yourself. Who am I talking to? What do I want them to know? What do I want them to feel? And what do I want them to do? Okay. And when I say that, do you want them to book a one-on-one sit down with you? Do you want them to meet you for coffee? Because you can transition social media to in person for sure. Do you want them to join your Facebook group? Do you want them to watch a video, right? Like, what do you want them to do this week? So long story short, if you think you're building on social media, but you're scrolling and you have no idea who you're talking to and no idea what you want them to do, how you want them to feel, fear not. You actually haven't been building social media, so you haven't failed. It's not you. You haven't even started yet. This is the time to start. Today is the time to start. So I want to invite you to participate in this journey of exploration. And I know that there is an official LifeVantage meeting that's going on right now. So what I would love you to do is, if you're watching the replay, comment below any questions that you might have. And if you are watching the replay and you're seeing people's comments and you know the answer, go ahead and answer below too. Let this be a forum for exploration for everybody. Okay. I will talk to you later. Have a fantastic day and love you, Dondi and Mercy.